You're watching WBZ News.
Breaking news this afternoon, the son of a man found murdered in Plymouth is now charged in his father's death. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. I'm Courtney Cole. The 26-year-old was detained and questioned this morning. As WBZ's Christina Hager reports, we've just learned that the suspect will face a judge in court tomorrow on a murder charge.
The Plymouth DA and the Plymouth Police Chief holding a news conference here at the police department this morning, telling us that the suspect, 26-year-old Matthew Paluzzi, is related to the victim and that he is in custody being questioned in connection with this homicide investigation. This was after a search for the suspect that led police to him in Hanover. We do have some video over the crime scene. This is where police say it all happened on Cedar Road in the Manomet section of Plymouth. The victim is a 73-year-old man, Anthony Paluzzi. His wife called 911 just before 6:30 this morning.
At about 6:26 this morning, Plymouth Police received a 911 call from a female reporting that she found her husband unresponsive and bleeding from a laceration to the neck area. The caller reported a large kitchen knife on the floor nearby. Plymouth Police and EMS responded, and the male victim was pronounced deceased at that time.
Police say they are familiar with the suspect, Matthew Paluzzi. He has made news headlines before. Back in 2020, he was arrested and accused of pulling a gun on a woman who was taking money out of an ATM. And now this. Investigators are working on a search warrant at that home in Manomet, and we will let you know if this leads to charges against Matthew Paluzzi in this homicide investigation. At Plymouth Police Headquarters, Christina Hager, WBZ News.
A court hearing set for tomorrow that would have given lawmakers a chance to ask a bankruptcy judge to approve the sale of Steward Healthcare hospitals in Massachusetts has been postponed once again. This is the fifth delay of that scheduled court hearing as sales talks continue. The hearing is now scheduled for next Thursday. Steward gave no reason for postponing tomorrow's hearing. Now to a look at some of our top stories we're following today on WBZ News starting at 5 o'clock.
A former Quincy man who was convicted of rape back in 2007 was finally back before a judge today and sentenced to 18 to 20 years for the brutal crime. Twen Lee fled the state before the jury handed down its verdict and was living in California and married under an alias. But the long arm of the law caught up with him back in May.
I'm Tiffany Chan outside of the State House in Boston. The governor today signing a bill to eliminate PFAS chemicals from firefighter gear. PFAS is also known as the forever chemical. And it's interesting because you'd think that firefighter gear would protect firefighters, but studies have shown that those chemicals that are heat, oil, and water resistant actually lets out some pretty toxic chemicals that have been making a lot of firefighters sick. Cancer diagnosis linked to them. So today, the governor signed a bill that would eventually eliminate it altogether here in Massachusetts. On WBZ starting at 5, though, I'm going to tell you one wife's journey in discovering these chemicals, but also getting this bill to the governor's desk for a signature.
Right now, we're turning to a look out over the city of Boston here. We have a little bit of a hazy, cloudy moment going on here, but not a bad day overall on this Thursday, Friday Eve. My friends, we're almost there. Let's get you over to next weather meteorologist Jason Michaels so he can help you plan for that preseason game tonight.
Of what would be a sunny day, it turns out to be a cloudy and smoke-filled type of afternoon, limited to no impacts in terms of getting us through about 5 p.m. later this evening. And then we begin to see more of these type of clouds. Those cumulonimbus clouds are going to be filled with a lot of moisture there as we start to see even more pops and even some of the shower activity begin to move on in. So if you're going down to Gillette later on this evening, down in Foxborough, you'll be in the upper 60s to low 70s, and you'll definitely need that poncho as well. We can expect some of that wet weather to moving a little bit farther south. Subsiding air, friends, from the mid and upper levels is pulling in a lot of that haze and smoky like veil across southern New England, all mainly due to this area of high pressure. Back behind it, though, this is our weekend system arriving Saturday night moving into Sunday. And look at that. Miles and miles ahead of the frontal boundary, already causing some issues there over towards the Indiana and also Illinois border. Much of the activity is going to be attributed to this jet stream sagging a little bit farther south. It's likely going to push Ernesto on out to sea, which is going to be great news for us. But plenty of fires in Canada and that jet stream and high pressure working both in tandem. This is why we had that smoke-filled type of sky for our afternoon. Coming up, we'll talk much more about our shower threat, our thunderstorm threat, and also how will the temperatures respond heading into the weekend and certainly next week with rain lingering into Monday and Tuesday. The details coming up in the full forecast. Back to you.
Jason, thank you. A new lawsuit claims hackers may have gained access to the personal information of billions of people across the U.S. That includes social security numbers, addresses, and even the names of relatives. And that type of data could allow them to infiltrate financial accounts or even take out loans in their names. According to the lawsuit filed in California, the man who filed the lawsuit claims his identity protection service alerted him that his information had been leaked to the dark web. The breach is said to have happened around April, so it's been a few months now. So officials are now asking residents to check their accounts, look closely, and report any unusual activities as soon as they can. Meanwhile, officials in New Hampshire are taking steps to protect residents' personal data. The state attorney general announced the creation of a new data privacy unit today, which will be responsible for enforcing compliance with the state's Data Privacy Act. Officials say this will ensure accountability and transparency on how companies handle and monetize the personal data of consumers. It goes into effect next year. And if you're traveling this weekend and your commute involves the Sumner Tunnel, you'll want to find an alternate route because the Sumner Tunnel will be closed from Friday at 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. Monday morning from Logan Airport and Route 1A in East Boston. Now, MassDOT says that the closure is part of the Sumner Tunnel project, which includes work on the tunnel ceiling, walls, and lighting, among other work. Turning now to Voters Decide 2024, Vice Presidential candidates Tim Walz and J.D. Vance have both agreed to a debate. The two men will face off on CBS on October 1st, but Vance has also challenged Walz to meet on September 18th on CNN. Right now, Walz is still in New England. The Minnesota governor was at a fundraising dinner in the Back Bay last night and will make a campaign appearance in Rhode Island later today. There is tight security at the Wembley Stadium in London today as thousands of fans gather for Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. Now, tonight's concert, it comes a week after a suspected terror plot was foiled in Vienna. I spoke with CBS's Tina Kraus, who's in Wembley at the security. And we talked about the security there and about how fans are handling today's sold-out concert. Tina, first, thank you for joining us, but tell us, what is security like there today?
Oh, Courtney, I'll tell you what, it's tighter than we've seen it before, although security officials in the UK are telling us that this is one of the most secure venues they will find. Everyone on high alert after the terror threat last week in Vienna. That is when we had 3 terror suspects arrested, and they say they've learned some lessons, a lot of covert operations going underway here, and they hope that they will be able to keep Swiftie safe.
Now, Tina, you know, we were just speaking about, you just mentioned the foiled attack. What type of impact do you think that foiled attack is having on fans and attendance in general, especially because, you know, for your favorite artists, when you go see them, but especially Taylor Swift, people can't Taylorgate, as they call it, and do what they normally do ahead of the concert?
They can't, but they are still loving it. We spoke with one woman from Tucson, Arizona, who had never been out of the U.S. She got her passport so she could come and see Taylor Swift in concert. She told me that she is not worried because you have to live your life. I talked to another woman from Manchester, England, where back in 2017, 22 people were killed in that bomb attack at the Ariana Grande concert. And she told me that, yes, I am a little worried. I'm a bit hesitant. But she said, like Taylor says, we have to be brave, we have to face our fears and be fearless. They all look up to her, they all love her, and she is giving them a huge performance. We can almost hear the music behind us.
Now, Tina, while police have said that there is nothing to indicate any threats tonight, do you think that that's had an impact on ticket sales?
Well, it's a sold-out show, and so we are told that all of those seats are filled inside and that the next 4 shows are also sold out. And so this is a stadium that packs 90,000 people. So it doesn't seem to be affecting people, the tailgating that you talked about, you know, the tailgating where if you don't have a ticket, you can kind of just hang around. That's not being allowed at Wembley. In Munich earlier this summer, there were about 40,000 people without tickets who were still able to take part in the, you know, trading of these friendship bracelets and really getting into the Taylor factor. But the UK, I'll tell you what, they're looking forward to the Swiftonomics, as Barclays Bank here tagged it. They said, you know, this is something that is going to be very good for the economy here.
Well, absolutely, and we know all about that here. Taylor Swift certainly has quite the positive push on the economy. Tina Kraus, thank you so much.